On this episode, we catch up with a friend that I haven't seen in 25 years. My guest is Alison, and during that time, she lived throughout Asia before returning to the U.S. to take us along her magical adventure with her buzz persistence. Alison is a teacher at heart. Long before any of us were considering life abroad, she was already doing it, teaching English in both Taiwan and Bangkok. She later applied her skills as a chef to teach cooking classes and help open a Taiwanese Tex-Mex restaurant. Always willing to close a chapter to begin another, she eventually left to find her magic bus and create her first children's book. We also talk about when you travel the country in a magic bus, not everybody assumes you're selling books. Let's jump in.
Different Allison than you knew.
That is no bueno.
That's no good, I know. I'm working on it. I'm doing everything I can, but I've learned a lot in the journey, so that's what the lesson has been, is I'm going to be able to help people heal after I keep healing myself, you know. Your daughter's so cute.
Yeah, she's pretty rad.
Yeah.
But you know, now that I've voted in the kid, like I have a say, because like now I have one.
Yeah.
It is just really unfortunate how bad we treat our children and not taking the time for all the things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I hope that when people come over and they see us interact or whatever, they
Right.
see us taking the time with her
Right.
and talking to her and
Yeah.
making her part of everything and things like that.
Explaining things to
Explaining
her and not
things.
saying this is my way or that fucking highway. Like,
Right. Like what, like I always think of it as like, we're all a team,
Yeah.
right? So like, I'm just as much of a teammate with her as I am her mom,
Right.
but also like we're like me and your mom are the quarterback and you're,
Right.
you're like the punter, you know, what I mean? Like, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're on the team, but that don't get crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because we're still saying what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, I should have tissue because I feel like I might cry.
What?
Well, what if something gets emotional? Like,
Hey,
do
you
you have
know-
a tissue?
Yeah, yes, you're correct.
I'm just saying. I'm trying
Hey,
to.
you know-
like, I just started feeling emotions for some reason, like because I can feel like what you're saying about kids and like that kind of shit. Like, it moves me, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So
hang on.
I need
Let
some
me. Yeah.
tissue.
Okay.
It's a new thing.
reason I was like,
Of course, it's a cute one.
I'm gonna get some tissue.
Yeah.
It's because like if I didn't, like Aaron would be like
What? Yeah.
like you should have got some tissue.
Well, because you don't want to have to get up in the middle of it, and I'm like doing this.
Well, here's
not
what-
that that's going to happen.
Okay,
I'm just-
so Aaron used to like make me keep tissue in here. Well, because this is also kind of my office,
Right.
and I work in here, right?
Right.
So, and people have colds, right?
Oh yeah. That's
But then, like, I'm not the
now
kind.
she's gonna think I'm sick because she won't think I'm. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so, but usually, like, I'll just blow my nose with just like paper towels,
Right.
Like, I don't
That's
care.
rough, though.
But I just don't.
Right.
I just don't care.
Right.
Anyways,
Oh, I
and so
see.
and so then, like, if I were to like, if you start crying, and then I offer you like paper towels, Aaron would be like, "What are you doing?"
I think I'm gonna get my chapstick. So I have
Yeah.
it in case.
What kind of chapstick is
I
that?
just really like Sun Bum.
Oh.
I just have had every kind of chapstick on the market.
Some
This
bum.
stuff works. This is like a new kind. It's like colored, so I just want to try it out.
Wait,
But
it's like
not
a
really colored.
it's like a lipstick kind of
no,
chapstick.
it's chapstick, but this just has tint to it. Like you can't see any lip. I mean, it's just like
You look like your lips.
yeah, it's not. It's just a little tinted raisin hell. That's weird. That's a weird name. I didn't notice that till now. But anyway, I just get
Wait,
like
how they spell raisin? Like a raisin,
Raisi.
like a raisin, like a grape raisin, right?
Yeah, but why Hill? Are
Because
my eyes wrong? Raisin Hill.
well,
That
you know,
sounds
because like,
horrible.
well, you know, but you know the term like,
No.
look, go out and Raisin Hill, right? But then they're doing Raisin Hill. You know what I mean?
God, it couldn't. Finally, it clicked. It didn't want to click. That's fucking funny. I'm gonna think of that now every time I see that.
Will you tell me tell me stories about people thinking that the bus that you're selling like mushrooms or whatever?
Well, I was on a trip. I don't remember where I was. Oh, I know where I was. I was on my way to Barter Fair, a festival in Washington. And we stopped to get gas, and I was pumping, and I think I was with friends. It's hazy, but I just remember this like kid, like this younger kid, this young buck coming up to me and being like, "Hey, can you sell me some stuff?" I'm like, "What kind of stuff you want me to sell?" And he was like, "Well, what you got on your bus?" I go, "I don't have anything on my bus
You're like, I got some pots and pans.
I mean, I really don't. Like, I mean, to be frank, like cannabis is my medicine, but it's illegal in certain states. So I'm not going to be carrying something illegal with me because that's just not smart.
responsible,
And although I consider it a plant, Texas very much has a different opinion. And yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms to open, but like eventually I'll get my medical cannabis thing, so then that won't be an issue. I actually just haven't worried about it because I was in Arizona. It's legal there.
Well, I'm hoping like at some point like we don't have to worry about it at all.
I mean, I've got a friend fighting for that. Her name is Heather Fazio. I actually wanted to introduce you to her to get you to have her on your podcast because she lives in Austin. So she's actually out there like fighting for
Heather. You said Heather?
Heather Fazio.
Come
I used to
on.
work with her at Saltgrass when
Oh,
we met.
well, I mean, like we're practically family,
Oh,
Heather.
I forgot that I would literally. Anyway, go ahead and keep going.
No, I was just like, yeah, like Heather for sure.
Yeah, did you know Heather?
No, I do have no
Okay.
idea. But I'm saying she worked at Saltgrass,
Yes.
so basically I know her.
Yeah, well, and she lives in North Austin, so it'd be easy for her to come over here. I already told her I was staying at her house last time we were trying to, because we've been trying to do this podcast for so long, like it happened, but anyway, doesn't matter. I don't.
No, but
I get sidetracked sometimes with my.
But here's the
words.
thing. We were talking about this before because like even in trying to schedule this, I had an emergency that I had to take
Oh
care of.
yeah, and I was staying at Heather's house. That was.
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. There you go. So, but anyways, and so like, but I think we were in the kitchen and in some level we were like, okay, see, but it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I think I wasn't
Yeah.
really like worried about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You were like, you weren't worried, but I knew I just had to like release control of the whole thing because I just felt like I had a lot on my plate. I mean, I got to get tires for the bus. I'm trying to get to see my mom next week. Got to organize the RV places and and you were right. Like just surrender and trust. And here we are. And it's really good timing. It's like really good timing.
See?
I know. I hear you. You were right.
Okay. How does persistence start? How does the bus start?
Meaning,
Well, okay, we can go back even further. What happened when you left Austin? You went to Korea?
oh, we're talking about that long.
Well,
time
can
ago.
we
Okay, you
can
want
we
me to
go
rewind
back
in time?
Well, can we just like talk about a little
Sure,
bit and then we'll get
sure.
to the bus because I
Sure.
literally have no idea
Oh,
what
yeah,
you've
you
been
don't.
doing.
We haven't seen each other in 25 years.
Yeah. And so like my daughter was like, I go, we're gonna go pick up my friend. I haven't seen her in a long time. And my daughter goes, well, we saw her when I was born. And I was like, no, we didn't. I was like, I haven't seen her in like 25 years. She goes, no, Dad, I don't think that's right. And I was like, I don't think you're right. You know what I mean? Anyways, and so yeah, it's been like 25 years.
Yeah.
Right. So last I knew, I think you were gonna go teach English
Yeah, you're on track.
in some other country. Taiwan.
Yeah, type in Taiwan.
Okay, so tell me about teaching English in Taiwan.
Oh, I went out there. I didn't know anybody, but I got hired by a school that a friend of mine Well, he wasn't really a friend. He was a mutual friend. I think you may have known him in school, actually. Do you remember Tucker? Were you friends with Tucker? I can't think of his last name. But it's not the point. But the point is somebody introduced me to him and said, send him an email. And so I sent him an email, and he wrote me back. And he basically helped connect me to a school because he taught out there for a while.
What? Okay, really quick.
Yeah.
What made you? Why did you want to do that?
Oh, well, I've wanted to go live abroad for many years, and that happened back in my 20s when there's so much, I don't know where, there's so many thoughts that are coming to me, but I traveled abroad and when I finished graduate school, okay, and my friends were supposed to come with me one by one by one. Either they didn't have the time, they didn't have the money, or whatever. So my dad was like, are you really going to go do this by yourself? And I did. And I caught the travel bug. And that's back when you didn't have the cell phones and internet, social media. None of that existed.
This
I
is
had
like
a book.
2006?
Couldn't do
2004?
Couldn't do the math.
Well, okay. Well, so it's
But I mean,
it's like early 2000s because it's like 25
there was like
years.
the
Yeah.
very first internet cafes popping up in Amsterdam, like very first ones, and I was there. Okay,
Wow.
so I went on this trip, and what I realized on this trip was that I could actually move abroad if I wanted to. I had conversations with people that really opened me up, inspired, and planted the seed of wanting to get out of America. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. And I started really soul searching and digging and going, the life that I have right now is not the life that I want. How do I expand? And someone said, hey, I think Tucker back in college taught in Taiwan. Here's his email address. And he sent me a long message back and said, long story short, you have to go out there. He connected me to a school. I got hired. I started teaching, and I was there for 4 years. And then I moved to Bangkok, Thailand for 4 years.
Okay.
So I was away for 8 years.
What were the years like in Taiwan?
Amazing. Some of the best years of my life.
Like say
Culture
more.
shock, like going into grocery stores and not being able to read what you're looking for. Extreme growth in my ability to teach and be submerged into a classroom with kids that most of them don't speak any English, and I taught kids of all ages and took on more classes and then one-on-one privates, and I did not just an 8-hour day. I never had an 8-hour day in 8 years. I was teaching all day, and then I picked up extra classes, and then I taught on the weekends to older kids, writing. So I was teaching everything from like little tiny baby kids, like, 3 years old, 4 years old, not really supposed to be there that young, but they are, 4 years old, 5 years old. And then I was teaching 9 and 10-year-old grammar. And then on the weekends, I would teach 14-year-olds writing, like special writing and conversation. So I just like really dove into it.
What was their willingness to learn? Like, what was was it like positive? Did they not want to learn English?
Oh, that's a really good question. So that's a lot of layers there. I think there's a lot of importance put on the ability to communicate English, because we're really lucky that it's our natural language, right? Our first language. It's not for them.
Right.
And I feel like there's a big, you must speak this language in order to whatever your family's expectations are, what society's expectations are. It's not for me to speak on that, but I just tried to take the seriousness of it and make it fun.
Were they open to that too?
Of course. Was
it?
Oh, well, I would say
Was it strange they had an American teacher? Was that strange to them?
No.
That was normal?
I don't think so. It's very common there.
Okay.
In fact, it's preferred, I guess,
Oh, really?
because our first language is English. So if you want to learn English, wouldn't you want to learn from someone who that's their first language, not their second or third or fourth? So does that answer what you're asking me?
Yeah. I was just thinking that, like, it feels like a lot of times in American classrooms, like, kids aren't excited to learn. And I was just kind of wondering if they were excited to learn at all. Because it feels like in other countries, kids are excited to learn.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, then when you think about it from the angle of, like, at least English, they're being maybe forced to learn something that they don't even, like, they're like,
I think,
like if someone forced us to learn
Right.
Taiwanese,
right.
they're like, you're just
Right.
going to learn this. And you're like, what? You know?
Right. I think there's a big push for them to, I feel like they're tired at the end of the day. And yeah, they're there. But I think these kids get pushed pretty hard because they're at Chinese school all day. And then they come to another school for 2 hours. That's a long day by the time you get home and have time to relax. It's just a long day for such young kids. It's much more strenuous there than it is in America. Like it's much harder there for them, in my opinion. Some of these kids go to school till 8 o'clock at night. I used to substitute at a school where they went late. And it's not just, what you're learning in regular school. Then you got to go to the other school. And maybe if you need extra help, then you need one-on-one private teaching. But like I said, so when you take the seriousness of it and you put it in a way that kids can digest it and you tune into the learning, how different kids like to learn, like you tap into that, then you can really teach. Teaching isn't about having a degree in teaching. Teaching is learning how to tap into how kids learn.
Yeah, you have the transfer of information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you
Yes.
go to Bangkok, you said?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say that also when I was in Taiwan, I was in Taipei, Taiwan for 3 years, and then
what is
that's
that?
the capital. It's just
Okay.
like and Taiwan's an island, so it's just full of lots of adventure, so much culture, such nice people. And just so I don't forget this important aspect is that I reached out to my old boss a couple of years ago and we did pen pals. So I was writing back and forth to these kids because, we were all shut down and you can't go leave your house or whatever. So I still wanted to teach somehow. And so I was corresponding with kids, asking them if they could drive a magic school bus, where would they go? And it was a very cool experience. And I really wanted to get them connected with other students, and that didn't happen. But we progressed, and it was really fun to just continue to teach and how the magic bus weaves into all these stories, because teaching is like everything to me. It's like my purpose. I didn't have kids, and that wasn't my path. And so I want to continue to teach. But I just derailed the question, and I'm not sure where we were.
No, you're good. So
yeah, that helps
So-
me.
I asked you,
Yeah.
I said, so then you went to Bangkok.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I moved to Hsinchu, Taiwan, which is another city in Taiwan, and I was working in a school there. And then I helped basically get a Tex-Mex restaurant open on the side. There was a guy that basically I helped
an
make
American
a menu.
guy?
No, he was
Like a Taiwanese
guy. Yeah, him and his wife
Opening
owned
a Mexican food restaurant?
Tex-Mex restaurant in Hsinchu, Taiwan. And
What was it?
I wrote them.
What was it called?
I think it was called Chop House. I can't really remember.
You couldn't get
But
them to
it-
name it like
I don't.
Chewy, like
No,
something.
it's very, it was like the Chop House. I think that's what it was called. And if you ate like a 72-ounce steak in so long, I mean, it was really this kind of interesting concept of,
It was like kind of Tex-Mex.
well, I helped design the menu. I helped teach the guys in the back how to cook. I was there as also their liaison between the expats that would come in and want to order, and I wrote the standard operating procedures there. I really was there teaching, and then I eventually got a car in Taiwan, and then I would drive because I had to drive from where I lived to that job so I could help get this restaurant going and started. And I was there for a long time, and then I was over it. It was I've been in Taiwan the whole time. Then I moved to Bangkok, Thailand.
this is total sidebar. You worked in a lot of restaurants, right? Didn't you back in the
A
day?
ton.
Okay,
and
okay.
A ton of major cities around.
Okay.
Yeah.
In every restaurant you worked in,
Yeah.
what was the ethnicity of the majority of the guys that worked in the kitchen?
Oh, that seems like a weird question to ask. I feel uncomfortable.
Okay, well, no, okay, well, I'll answer it for you. So the majority of the people that worked were Hispanic, right? In the thing, but in the Taiwanese Mexican food restaurant,
They're all Taiwanese.
they were all Taiwanese.
Yeah. So that was it was an interesting dynamic to teach these guys. Like,
Yeah.
some of them spoke English, not all of them. Well, actually, I mean, I can't. Some of them spoke English, but some of the guys didn't speak English. But it was fun to be able to be like, this is what has to happen, and
Like
training.
Did they have like refried beans? Like they had like things
Yeah.
Did they understand what refried beans?
Well,
like why?
I mean, it's a whole. I mean, it's an interesting concept. It's
like culture, right?
It's also challenging for anyone. So if you were to be like, hey, taste this sauce made from Italy, which one do you feel? I mean, you have to really, I'm not Italian, so I wouldn't be the best judge, but I'm a really good judge because I have like a great palate. But what I'm saying to you is, if it's not your first culture eating food, to cook it, taste it, and know that it's that authentic taste can be challenging for anybody. It's just like if I'm cooking Thai food, even though I lived there for 4 years, doesn't mean I can't cook like someone who's grown up eating that food.
It's
kind
kind
of
of like the English thing, right? Like it's like we grew up speaking English.
Yes.
Right? So like and we grew up eating Tex-Mex food, right? So it's like you just know, you know what I mean?
You just know.
Yeah, you just know. Okay, so then you go to Bangkok, right?
Then I was just at a point in my life, which this happens. I don't know how often it happens. It just happens. And I have to shift because I have sciatica pain in my leg. I wanted more, like something. I didn't want to have that life anymore. I wanted something different. And so I was thinking about all the places I could go. I made a list. And Bangkok, Thailand was screaming at me, but it was more so also someone that I did know messaged me and said they need a teacher at this international kindergarten, K through second in Bangkok, Thailand. And I did the Skype interview and they needed me there. Like, they were like, how quick can you be here?
And what kind of opportunity? Is that a big opportunity?
It was a huge opportunity.
Okay.
First of all, to teach at a international kindergarten. And also to go to Bangkok, Thailand and live, I was pumped. I mean, I'd visited Thailand many times on my travels. Living in Taiwan, I got really good vacation time. I had a really good boss, I loved everybody that worked with. Like, I loved my experience there, all of it. I was just ready for a change, that's all. It was like, people were sad to see me go, but that's what happened. Some people live in Taiwan forever. Like, they'll live. I mean, I have friends that have been there for like 15 plus years. They own schools. They do some big things. I got friends that live in Vietnam, same thing. They've been out there for, I don't even know how many years. It's a good life. It's a good life.
You find your spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like once, as jobs go more like online and things like that, and you can live wherever you want to live, and travel becomes easier and affordable,
right?
People are just going to live everywhere.
That's right.
Just everywhere. Right. There's going to be people over here and people over there.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's going to be Americans living everywhere but America.
Right.
You know, why not?
Right. I mean, I'm glad that I had an opportunity to kind of pioneer that, because it wasn't anything that people were like, here's how you go do this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was traveling at 24, going on 25 with a Let's Go Europe book and a few notes that someone had told me at one of the jobs that I was working. And I went out there for a month and didn't come back for another 2. So, and it's just been a ripple effect. But yeah, Bangkok, Thailand. I was in Bangkok, Thailand. And I moved, I think, within 2 weeks. And that was one of the most challenging thing. I had collected a lot of things in 4 years. I had a lot of things and had an apartment and I had a lot of things to wrap up, and they needed me, and I went there. And within 8 months, I got promoted to the head of the kindergarten department.
Wow.
And then I started doing cooking classes, and I wanted to develop this nutrition education program and put it into the system. I just thought if they was part of the classes there, it should be just like art and music. It should just be part of a curriculum.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get the owner to like bite on it. So I just did cooking nutrition-esque classes for the school, and it blew up like milk and cookies, you know. It's probably not the greatest analogy, but
I follow you.
I mean, and then I started doing a few free classes out of my house the following year after I'd taught at multiple schools and done so many classes, and I loved it, but I needed a little more money, just not even for me so much, but for the kids to expand the curriculum. And I got turned down, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a few classes out of the place I was living, and it went so well that I ended up coming back to the States and getting a certain kind of thing to allow me to do what I was doing. But I was running almost like 4 cooking classes out of my next house in Bangkok, Thailand for 2 years, and teaching one-on-one privates, like 5 privates every single day, teaching kids English and cooking classes. And so I stopped working at the school because I knew I could do what I wanted to do, and I did that for a long time. And then
you had freedom.
Yeah, and I liked it more. I mean, I have, if you look on my new website, rotatinghats.com, you can see like some of the letters that parents wrote me, because when I left Thailand, I mean, it was really sad. I was sad. I left a lot of students. I had to like give my friend students. I was like, I have all these students. They want to keep learning. Teacher Allison, they knew Teacher Allison in Bangkok. And it was also a lot of Japanese kids, actually, because dad will come over, get a job, and they're there for a certain amount of time and they leave. But like, you start teaching a few kids in a building, next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like
Teaching the whole building.
the whole building. And it was great. It was sad. I was teaching adults, and then it was all kinds of projects that I got up to. And I did chef stuff too when I was there, events, but only a few, but people got word of, I tailor make food for any kind of dietary restriction or requirements. Is pretty specialized.
So forgive me if you said it. Why did you end up leaving?
I got to another place in my life where I wanted more. Like, I was happy. I think on some deep level, maybe I wasn't as happy as I thought I was.
So
like,
when you say you wanted more, what was it?
I just feel like I did it. I get to a place in my life, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? Like, what's the next thing to do?
Kind of like your
expansion.
Like you're bored?
Sort of, yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't say I'm bored.
That's like an ugly. That's how it feels. More like
there's a new chapter to be started. It's just it's a feeling like at the time. Now I can look back. Now I can look back and tell you what it was. Back then, I just knew that I was like, I went to Chiang Mai and did like Songkran, which is an amazing like water festival that they do there. It's like the cleansing of New Year's. It's so fun. It's like a water parade everywhere you go. Like, people are just shooting each other with like water guns and dumping water. It's like, I guess on some spiritual level, it's like the cleansing of the new year, but the whole place is just all like water. And so
cool.
Anyway, as my Songkran had just finished, and I was like, I think I'm ready to go. I think I'm just ready. And I had no idea at that point where I wanted to go. So that was also hard. Not hard, but just like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that was not the next chapter.
Did you know you wanted to come back to the States?
No, I did not want to come back. I actually did not want to come back here.
Okay, so your plan was you were going to leave there, but you were going to say something.
Well, I wasn't going to leave, but I knew I wanted to leave, so I had to start thinking about where I wanted to go. And the United States was certainly not. I was not excited, but I knew. Yeah, I didn't want to move back here.
So where'd you want to go to?
I couldn't name a place. That was a problem. It's not a problem. It's just Nothing excited me. Nothing was like, yeah, come move here.
So okay, so how do you end up back in the States?
So I ended up back in the States because it's a really long story.
We got plenty of time.
Okay, but I was gifted a ticket to Burning Man when I lived in Bangkok, Thailand.
Oh wow.
Okay, so he said, if you can figure out, I didn't even know what Burning Man was at the time. Well traveled, but didn't know about Burning Man. Burning Man was different back then. Was a different. It's also they said back then it was very different. So I didn't even.
Okay,
It's so commercialized now, and everybody knows what. So I felt like it was cool when you couldn't televise it, when not everybody could see what was going on. It was like what happens at Burning Man stays at Burning Man, and now it's.
What year do you
Couldn't
go?
tell you. I have numbers.
Maybe like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, so I can do the math. Like I've lived in Arizona about 3 years. I lived in Washington about 7. That's 10 years, and then I was in Bangkok before that. Is that what you were asking me?
Yeah, so about 15 years ago.
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. Still even like, yeah, something like that. Anyways,
I
go.
mean, 7 years. I can't believe I lived in Washington. Well, so I'm thinking, where do I want to go? And I mean, I went to Burning Man, and I met a ton of people from Washington State. Few people from California, some from Oregon. I mean, the camp I was at. So that's a whole long story, but I met a lot of cool people from Washington in a specific camp that I ended up camping at. And I made it all the way from Bangkok to Burning Man. Found someone on Craigslist. He was a 7-year burner, and he needed a ride share, and it was just, he happened to live in Washington, and then he connected me to this new camp, and so I met all these cool Washington people, and so I'd been to Washington a little bit, and an ex, someone who I was very close to at one time, ex-boyfriend of mine, also lived in Washington State. Someone I actually met many years prior to that. I haven't thought about him in a long time, so it's like, just take a moment. So I'd visited Washington. He was like my buddy, so I'd seen Washington. Then I had all these new friends from Burning Man that lived in Washington, and Washington is so beautiful. Like, I just love nature so much. I didn't even know how much I loved nature at that time, but it has that cool vibe. Back then it was like this cool vibe. It's very liberal, and just like people can be who they want to be, and no one gives a fuck. Excuse my language.
No, you're good.
But like, and there's the cool city, and there's a music scene, and so that's the best
thing.
of both worlds,
Yeah,
right?
it's an awesome
all
place.
of it.
Yeah.
If you can handle the weather.
Yeah.
That's what he used to say, like, it's beautiful. It's why only so many people live out there, because there's like a few months out of the whole year.
It's just like hell.
The rest is anyway. So I thought about moving to Washington. I did not think I'd last more than a year. It felt like the right decision. Nothing else was like exciting. But so Washington, it called me in, and I left Bangkok, Thailand. I flew through Japan, saw a bunch of my old students, and then got into Seattle, Washington. I was staying on my friend's couch just for a few weeks and got an apartment. And long story short, I was there for 7 years.
Dang.
I can't believe I was there that long. Several years, it's not like I didn't know I wanted to move. I knew I wanted to move like 4 years prior. I thought actually I was going to start a new chapter, but I wasn't going to move. But like at some point I was like, I don't know if I want to live here anymore. It's cold, it's rainy, and I hadn't even experienced the next 4 years of snow, like snowplow snow and learning how to drive in snow, and that's a whole nother. But it was good because I learned a lot of lessons living in Washington State. I'm a different person, I'm a different soul, and it was what my soul needed. And that contract's finished. So, I'm on to the next chapter, but I actually left Washington and got rid of most of all my things and moved on to my school bus.
So leaving Washington is where the school bus starts?
It is where it starts. And
where does one purchase a school bus?
Well,
How did you come to
How
purchase?
did I get? Okay, so I was moving into a place in Washington that had a lot of snow, and it was like very deep in Darrington, Washington, up by Arlington, northeast by the Cascade Mountains, one of the most beautiful places I've ever lived in my life. It's a whole crazy story how I ended up at that property, but I knew that the car that I had was not going to be sufficient to get me in and out of that property, especially when it was snowing. Joke's on me. No car would have been able to get me out of that. I mean, snowplows couldn't even get me out of that. That's how deep I was, like set on 17 acres deep in the forest. It was like the most magical place. This is where persistence was born. It's a long story how I ended up there, but, let's see, where were we?
So we're moving from
Yes, persistence.
Yes.
Okay, so I needed a different car. I was not looking for a bus. I keep wanting to eat this mic. My nose keeps in it. I wasn't looking for a bus. That bus was looking for me. We were looking for each other. We just didn't know it. I also have been drawing vision boards for probably 5 years now, every new moon, to draw out what I want to be and do, and then at the full moon I see what has transpired. And I was drawing out like 4x4, like big vehicle that I could I wanted to drive. I was kind of scared of flying at that point for some weird reason, and I just wanted to drive to see my mom. Like I just kept thinking maybe I could get a bigger vehicle and I might could sleep in the back of it or something. I was asking my friend Kelsey, well, what could I get and what would make sense? And I went to a lot of dealerships, and then I was actually signing on a vehicle, and I noticed that the price, they were gouging me, and then I inquired, and it was like a whole thing. They were like, it was a crazy time. People had masks on, and you're trying to talk to them about a car. They were desperate. Anyway, so I didn't end up getting that car, and I went home, and I was looking on Facebook Marketplace,
Okay.
buy, sell, trade, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a car, just to see, just to be like, I don't even know now what I'm going to do. And now this bus pops up. And I'm like, what? Why am I looking at this? And it was interesting. I was like, whoa, look at this bus. This is so interesting.
How much is the bus?
Well, I mean, cheaper than any car I'd looked at. It was like
Really?
$10,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And so $10,000 to have a whole house on wheels, that's a pretty good deal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but I just had no idea what was going to come with that, I mean, I was looking at cars that were way more than that, thinking about financing one or whatever I was going to do. And and I looked at this bus and I saw these pictures and I was very intrigued. And so I messaged the lady. I don't know. No, I may have not messaged her then. I may have messaged her right then. I don't really remember. And I eventually messaged her and said, I want to come see it. And so we had an appointment, but she said, I just want you to know someone's coming on the day before that. And so I was like, okay, no problem. I can't get there till Friday or whatever it was. And that night I started having all these visions of all the things the bus could do and how it could bring people together and how it could be this and that. All these, I wrote it out. I literally typed it out. I have it printed. It's in a notebook. It's a real thing. That I wrote out, what I thought this bus was going to do. It's going to help humanity. It's this humanitarian project. It was never about, I'm going to
Selling mushrooms.
no. It wasn't, there were
I'm
so
kidding.
many things.
I'm kidding.
Right. There were so many things that I was thinking about, it could help humanity. It could take me, my friends, we could go see my mom. I was like, I'm not going to drive that bus. I wasn't even thinking about driving that bus at all at that moment. I was just like, oh, this could be something that it could be a connector. So I messaged her that next morning and I said, can I come on the next day or that day? And I went down there and she showed it to me and I said yes within 10 minutes of looking at the bus. I didn't know it was going to take me 7 trips to the DMV to get her converted, and the lady sold it to me and then ghosted me and then messaged me back 3 months later. But I sorted it. But immediately that bus was teaching me lessons about surrender and trust, and I thought I'd made a big mistake by buying her, and I never knew that eventually she would get gutted completely and start all over again from my vision. Because when we started digging into her, because I had to get her checked out and stuff, this guy was like, well, I'm showing you this. And we were just going to edit her a little bit. But it's just like in life, you and me, how we have to keep going with the layers. And sometimes it's just got to get it all out. So we did all of it, all the top. Because I told him, I said, I feel like my intuition is telling me something's not right here. And people have come and said, I had several friends come and like look at her, and my gut was like, something's not right. She had wet insulation and there were holes from what they had put on the top that was causing that. And so I spent the money basically sealing her up and gutting her. And then she got put together by a lot of different people because I ran out of money. And I did like trades, like culinary stuff, and then this guy helped put her sink in and some cabinets, and not cabinets, but shelves, and a lot of things. Anyway,
I think
I don't even know where we are, but there's a lot with the bus. I moved on to her, and I moved on to her in Washington State because I felt like I had to. I was definitely in fight or flight for sure. I knew I needed to get out of Washington. I didn't like my life anymore. I had a lot of really messed up things happen that am not a victim, but I'm just saying that I couldn't afford to live there anymore. I had people super screw me over. I didn't feel like my friends were my friends anymore. I didn't feel like I belonged there anymore. It was like I knew years before that I wanted to move. So the best choice was for me to get rid of all my stuff and not have to pay rent because I couldn't afford it anymore. And I moved on to my bus. And I didn't even know how to drive her then. That's crazy. And I thought I was going to learn on the way, but we hit snow, so I didn't really learn that much. I learned how to like back her in and out of a parking lot for less than 10 minutes. And when we eventually got to Sedona, because I went there for an event, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just like, I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to dive like a mermaid and go, I have enough skills and knowledge and life experience that everything's just going to happen. And that's exactly what I did. And then we hit mechanical issues the moment we got into Sedona. Spent my first night in Sedona in a mechanic parking lot. So... And then eventually my bus decided to not work anymore. And then I was in a parking lot for 8 weeks and then had to get her towed. But it was pretty cool to live in that part of Arizona. I didn't really want to leave. And that's what happened is she got fixed and eventually I came back. And there's a lot more that happens in between and after that. But I ended up starting a whole new life in Arizona. So it's been good.
As we've been talking,
Yeah.
you've said like chapters,
Yeah.
right? And I think, would you agree that like sometimes people have a hard time closing chapters?
Yeah.
Or even looking at it like as that it's not one continuous thing, that this part can close and I can move on from this and then move on to something new. Where did you learn that skill?
God.
Like,
I mean, I really don't think it's something that someone has said, this is how it works. It's just experience where when I'm done, and I just move on. And looking back, it's just been, that's a pattern. And I've also been told by, I'm not going to say who, but like, Alison, why can't you just do the same thing every day? Well, that's not my path. My path is expansion and living life outside of the box and not the way that society, especially during the time period that I grew up in, I don't live a life that a lot of people live. And that's what makes me me, like the picket fence with the family and the husband, and I'm 50, no kids, never been married. Like that's very rare.
Well, I was thinking of more of like, we were talking about how much the bus tires are going to cost.
Oh,
right.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
even though I feel like I can feel the weight of that, you know, you weren't really panicking about it at all. Like it really felt like you're like, well, I'm gonna
It'll all work out.
It'll all work. Like
Yeah.
I'll figure this out. You know what I mean?
Persistence has taught me that.
Yeah.
So I just trust. Like I yell. She can throw her yellow light on as much as she wants, but I'm not scared anymore. But because it's taken me 4 years to get to a place where I just trust. I trust the process. But I have hiccups where I don't always trust 100%, and so the universe is like, here, let's see how much trust do you have?
I think yeah.
You know?
I think there's a. I think would it be fair to say when you stop by being connected or you stop trusting the universe, the universe reminds you
Yeah.
that you should be trusting
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
maybe it's like a kick in the ass. It's not like it's not like a tap on the shoulder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But through all those challenges, the empowerment and the gratitude that comes through it all is so potent.
Is there I want to like because I know like so like you have like a children's book like you're working on, right?
Well, yeah. I hope it's published this year. It should be published this year. We're really close.
Well, I'm okay. So, is there? I guess what I was going to say is there anything more you want to tell me about the bus? Like, I mean,
There's
because
so much, but I don't even know like.
how do okay, like
I mean, the current status is really powerful. Like the trip that started this summer, like she went through 2 years of mechanical issues, so I had to rent a house in Arizona, and I had a fuckload of physical ailments, which I still have right now, that I needed to deal with. And Arizona has been a good place. But I just knew that I haven't seen my mom in 2 years. I miss my family, and no one's ever seen the bus, and that's fine. But the last mechanic was just drive her till you can't drive her anymore, and then I have another mechanic that is kind of someone I can text if I'm concerned about the bus. But I decided I turned 50, and I was like, I deserve to take this trip, and I'm going to do the scariest thing I can think to do right now. I didn't like try to do that, but like that's the thought of me driving that bus. I just figured there might be some people that came along with me to drive the bus eventually. I just trusted, but I drove the bus by myself all the way here. That's a feat.
that's amazing.
That's a feat.
Yeah,
So I feel really good.
because people drive crazy.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how hard it is for you to drive such a big thing, right? Like they don't understand what it takes for you to do that. So they just swerve in front of you and like, cut off. No, yes.
Yeah, that's happened for sure.
Because like the only reference I have is that like I have a truck and I pull a boat.
Yeah.
And, and that's a big thing to
Yeah.
swing around and
Yeah.
people don't realize. So they've just cut me off. It's like
Right.
braking hard. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, the braking hard thing, I mean, I can tell you the most challenging drive I've ever taken on that bus was going from Chama, New Mexico, all the way to Taos, New Mexico. So you have two ways, up and over or this way. And both are like over 10,000 feet in elevation. And I already live in 6,000. I know what 8,000 is like because Flagstaff is like that. And I've driven in all kinds of elevation, but she doesn't like it. She goes like really, really, really extra, extra slow. But it wasn't that. It was I didn't even know how much like downshifting and like, I mean, it was crazy curves and down and up and sideways and super, 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 super high. And I'm like, oh my God. And like, we finally got to Taos, New Mexico. And I mean, I was crying. It was like the craziest drive I've ever driven. Glad I survived. Glad her and I survived. It was beautiful though. It was one of the most, it was hard to even enjoy it because I'm just thinking about just focusing. There was so much focus. You look down and like game over. You're too far off the road. Game is over. At least I'd be dying in the trees though.
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
some of the most beautiful parts that I've ever seen. I mean, that area, like I also did a train ride in Chama. You can go in and out of New Mexico and Colorado like 11 times on this train. It was like one of the best trips of my life, just being on this train. I parked my bus at an RV park, walked to the train station and took a trip down there. It's like an all-day thing. And that part of like Colorado and New Mexico, wow, it's unbelievably beautiful.
Pull your mic in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Like, talk about it like right now. Tell me about the book.
Okay. Persistence the Bus. It's my way to keep teaching, and I don't want the lessons and stories to die inside of me, basically. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write a book? And people have been trying to get me to write cookbooks for years, and I'm just doesn't excite me. So I'm not going to do what people tell me to do. I want to do what excites me. It feels like work to do a cookbook, and I've helped people do cookbooks before and been part of that process, and it's very challenging. So anyway, I finally got this book going, and it's a children's book, but it also has the very first story of persistence. So it's real stories told in a childlike way about the key players in persistence realm. And it's not just a story. It's an activity book. There's coloring pages in there that my friends' kids drew, so you can be part of the journey of persistence. There's recipes in there, and there's also just some other. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I don't want to tell too much, but there's some other stuff in there. But yeah, there's recipes in there as well. But it's a 75.
That's amazing.
It's a 75-page hardback book.
Nice.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
So I feel I'm probably the proudest of anything that I've ever done. I feel really, really good about this. And this is the Infinite Magic Bus series. It just has already been writing itself. So the next one, I want it to be like a coloring book of all the places she will go or grow. And it's like literally the bus and all the places that she's been, and like the different flowers and the birds and like the places. And so it's just like, instead of coloring Mickey Mouse, we're coloring some stuff where you're learning, and there's
cool.
a lot of intention, and then all the stickers that have been made, I want it to be in there. So it's like a coloring and a sticker book, because I was super into that as a kid.
My daughter, she's really into this YouTube channel in which they make terrariums.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy has like a shop, and he sells coloring books.
Yeah.
And she's always like, Daddy. And it's the same thing. There are activities and stuff like that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because she loves it. Because then she's like, this is an axolotl. I'm like, what's an axolotl?
Right.
Like, I have no idea.
Right.
Anyways.
This final segment is brought to you by HeyJustBe.com. I believe that achieving balance in the mental, physical, and metaphysical aspects of your purpose through learning, serving, and creating can transform your life into one you truly enjoy living. Want to learn more? Visit www.heyjustbe.com.
So how I usually wrap this thing up is
you didn't want me to talk about that question that you asked, and then
okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
Take over the podcast. Sorry.
Okay, we'll just switch chairs right now. I'm just kidding. No.
Sorry.
No. So the cat's out of the bag. I do ask questions before sometimes. So
we ask, and then I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Don't worry.
Okay.
I ask people, what do they do to just be the best version of themselves so they could be good for everybody else? And I think you, across the podcast, you describe this skill that I think it's very, very hard for people to do, which we kind of called fuck it and find out, right? Where you said, like, for you to go, like, I'm just going to go to Taiwan and I'm just going to, I'm going to figure it out. Or I'm just going to move back to the States and I'm just gonna buy this bus. And I don't even know how to drive a bus, and I'm just gonna figure it out, right? Like that's amazing. I think that skill, what you're talking about, where you're like, I realize that like no matter what comes, I'm not gonna die. I have that's persistence. That's what persistence is living through these things. And the more experiences you have, the more you go, oh, I've kind of seen this before in a different way.
Yeah.
Or this experience is like another experience I had. Or this is a really good one I want to have again. Or this one really sucks. I don't want to ever do this again.
Right.
Right? So when was the first time that you remember kind of standing up for yourself in that way of like growing like that?
Right. Yeah. I had to think about that for a second because I was trying to go back and then it hit me. I felt like this was a big standing up for myself. So I have a undergraduate degree in nutrition and foods. I have my master's degree in clinical nutrition. At one point, I was certified as a registered dietitian, and I have a bunch of other stuff too. But I had a very deep desire to learn more about food. Had my hands in different, the industry a little bit, and I thought it would be cool to learn more about food. Especially, I have those degrees in nutrition and foods. It's part of it. So I really wanted to go to culinary school. And
were you going when we knew
no, before. That was
before?
before.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before you. Before I even told my dad, I applied. I got financial aid, found an apartment, potentially roommate, because the school can help you find someone. And I had all that set up before I even told my family.
Because you knew they were going to disapprove?
It didn't matter. I mean, I'm sorry that this is tough because, like, my dad, his death anniversary is tomorrow. So this is very good medicine to talk about this. But, like, I was told, I'm not going to say by who, but I was told by someone, are you trying to give your dad and this is, like, not proper words, like, I'm just telling you what they said. Are you trying to give your dad a goddamn heart attack? It was kind of like, I just put you through how many years of school and you want to be a GD chef, cook. There was no vision there. But for me at the time, I learned well in a structured environment. I was really like I call it full body, when your whole body lights up so it's a yes. It's like that childlike happiness, that like you get excited about making a children's book. Like I wanted this really bad. And I had there were like hardly any in the whole entire United States. There were hardly any chefs that had nutrition background at all. Okay. So I was actually pioneering this, and I felt like it was a great asset to nutrition. And I'm so glad that I was like, I'm fucking doing this. So it was a moment of like, I don't care. I'm doing this because I'm doing it. And then immediately when I got there, I saw a bulletin board that said what the internships, there was like some like advertisement, because you have to do a 3-month internship while you're in culinary school to complete the program at the very end, 3 months. And I saw Food Network and I was like, I want that. And I went after it and I got it. And I moved to New York City and I was like on the set when cooking was real cooking live, like Sarah Moulton, Gail Gann, Emeril Lagasse. They were all, I'm the magic of TV. That's really where I had to learn how to cut stuff and make stuff and match it to a script. And it would be literally on television.
Wait, okay, so is this before or after? I know you.
It was before.
This is all before?
Because I basically like, I moved home because I moved back to Texas because my grandfather was sick and I was there, and then I ended up taking a job at Saltgrass because they were opening it up in Kemah and I needed to bring some money to the table. I needed gas money and my grandfather was like sick. My mom was there. I mean, I
do remember that part.
So
yeah.
then I moved to Austin once everything kind of got to a better place, and that's why I was waiting tables. And I got a lot of shit from a lot of people that I actually don't talk to anymore because they're judgmental assholes in Texas. But like, what are you doing with your life, Adair? Why are you waiting tables? You got all these degrees, and what are you doing? And it was just a chapter in my life.
Yeah.
It was just one chapter. And then eventually I got to the point where I was like, this is not it. It was great that I was like making money, and then I was making good money, and I'd go off and take big trips. And then eventually I started working at catering companies, and I don't know, I wanted to be done. And even my dad, he tried to help. He was like, well, if you want to just like put all your stuff in storage and then you could just go work on an oil rig. And so like,
wow.
I went and met my father in Louisiana. He drove, I flew, he picked me up.
Is that what he did? Or like,
no, he's just trying to help me like, figure my life out. Like, go be a cook, and you work 8 weeks on and 8 weeks off. You go do what you want to do. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I literally went and interviewed, and all the companies except one were like, are you crazy? We're not hiring you. Like, some pretty girl put them on an oil rig with like convicted felons and stuff. Like, that's a reality.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And finally I went to Aramark and they wanted to hire me and I went through the whole process and then I had to do a physical and I was in great shape because you were my personal trainer.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. Here we go. The synergy. And I was like doing the thing and then they said I failed the physical. And I was like, and I didn't want to cry because it's a third party. They don't do it. Aramark doesn't do it. They hire a company to do the training, and the guy was a real prick. As soon as I got there, like kind of like, who's this woman? You know, like I'm whoever I am. And so they were all men in there, and I didn't want to cry. That's not true. I didn't feel that physical. There's no way I felt that physical. I was ripped. I was shredded. Like you were my trainer. You remember? I was so strong. My body's very different now, but like. That's what I ended up going, okay, this isn't going to be my life. I'm not going to do that. And I ended up in Taiwan.
Yeah. Okay, so it feels like you make these decisions for your life and then you take responsibility for those decisions, right?
I think I've played the victim in a lot of circumstances, but now I take responsibility for
I feel like
everything,
you're at least trying,
Yeah.
right? And like, and it's always kind of been that way.
Which way?
When you made this stand where you're like, hey, I'm gonna go to like culinary school with your parents and the things that are gonna come along with it. Like before that point, was that brewing that independence and that like going like I'm gonna make my own path?
No.
And so
No, it wasn't like that.
So it just kind of sparked.
Well, it happened. I mean, I was, went to junior college and I was deathly afraid of leaving. I did not want to leave Baytown, Texas. I was so scared. And then I went to my dad's alma mater, Sam Houston, and was in like a not good relationship. Him and I are friends now on Facebook, but like, it was like not a good relationship to be in. And it's a small town. And I thought, God, if I don't get out of here, I'm just going to be in this same thing. And I said, Dad, like, I want out, like I got to get out of here. And he was like, okay. And I moved to Southwest. I graduated college from Texas State back when it was Southwest Texas. But I left a college because of that situation and ended up. So yeah, that kind of catches us kind of up, and then I lived in Austin for a while and did the life that we were talking about,
I guess,
It's crazy.
I feel like me personally, I spent a lot of my life not doing that. You know what I mean? Not like going, hey, this is something I want, and I'm also going to be responsible for the consequences that come along with it. But like, this feels like something that is me. You know what I mean? And you were talking about like being a chef. Like it's kind of like telling your parents you're going to be a personal trainer. You know what I mean? And they're like, they're like, when are you gonna get a real job? You're like, well, this is kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way. And so, like, I totally like feel that. Like,
well, my other side of the family is very supportive. Like, I don't want to like be bashing everybody, but like that was the reality of like you tell your parents something, not, and that wasn't my parents. It was my mom has always been supportive, but like.
look, it's also the same conversation I had about my tattoos. So
right. Same, me too.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I hit them, and then
well, because look, like, I mean, like speaking from the parent chair,
right.
You always just want the best for your kids. Like, we don't want them to struggle and stuff.
I get it.
And so, like, you sometimes overstep boundaries or don't. You think that like you making decision is better than them making decisions, but ultimately them making decision, no matter how bad it is the best because they have to live with those decisions. And if you make the wrong one for them, like something they're not happy with, then like how are they're going to live their life unhappy because they didn't get to decide.
Well, they did end up getting cable when I was on the Food Network, hoping they would see me on TV, and so that there were super proud moments. And
my mom is the biggest defender of people with tattoos now. Like when people talk about people with tattoos, she'll be like, "My son has tattoos."
yeah.
But I like that.
Right, I think that's great. Yeah.
So,
but like shout out to my dad and his transition, and my dad, I lived with my dad from like 15, until I moved on out of college. And, when I left for college, and he taught me a whole lot, like he was the one, saying, he really gave me the drive that I have to like speak up and don't be too quiet and like,
That's good,
he was
though.
just sad that I was gone that's a long time. Like imagine your daughter being gone for 8 years. He's just like, can't you come back? And then
Well, and
And
this
then
is
he-
before the internet, like, because like I think
Right.
I could Zoom with her now.
Right,
But he
right.
couldn't do any of that.
Well, I mean, there was Facebook and he could keep up, but like if we ever tried to do Skype or any kind of phone calls, he doesn't hear well, so that was difficult. And he wanted me back, and I was in Washington, and they told me it was going to be a marathon, not a sprint, and he died, and so that was really hard. But we had a great last conversation, and I know that he's really proud of me, and I feel like we had a better relationship as a daughter father. We had a really good relationship, as best as it could be when he died, and I feel like I've grown, and he would be really proud of the woman I am today. And so it feels good. I thought about him today because tomorrow is a big anniversary, but I'm so happy that I'm in Austin actually getting to share this with someone that I've known for so long. And like, tomorrow I get to see Natalie Rise and Nako and help with merch, and that feels good. And just like to be here in this moment with you to connect is such divine timing, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you doing this like so
Yeah.
much. Like, I don't like rescheduling people on this, you know what I mean? And, emergencies in my life don't happen often. And ultimately, if it does happen, I don't want it to be a real emergency, and also don't want to impact other people.
Yeah.
So I'm just so grateful that you gave me the space and grace to go like, hey, get that settled.
Yeah.
And then like if and you go like, hey, I might not be available.
Right,
But
right.
if I am and you're willing, and I was like, oh, I'll fly the moon to come get, to come get you, because I just
Yeah.
appreciate it. So
Yeah.
so like, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I usually ask people to give me a hug. You have
Okay,
to give me
yeah,
a hug.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I'm gonna give you some stretches for that back.